Nate, what are you doing?
Oh, we ready to
We're
begin?
trying to get started
sorry.
here, man.
Hey,
Hey.
everybody.
Well, welcome to week 4. Yes, we do have a barn in front of us, so, I can
Reminds me
understand.
of my childhood.
Yeah, I can understand
yeah.
you want
Of course.
to play with the little animals over there.
That's right.
Well, welcome to week number 4. We are looking this week at money on the move, and yes, we do have a barn in front of us, a kid's toy. We actually raided the nursery earlier, tracking this thing down.
We did.
We'll disinfect
did.
it before we put it back.
That's right.
But this is a picture, really a nod to the story that you heard on Sunday about taking care not to build bigger barns.
That's right. Yeah, that's really what this parable is all about. It's about this rich fool who had an abundance, and instead of having a thought toward God and what it meant to be rich toward God and how God wanted him to use those funds, he said, you know what, let's just tear down this barn. Let's build the bigger barn. Let's really go for the deluxe package. And God called him a fool. He said, this very night your life will be required. And so there's a principle in here, a contrast that is Jesus is warning us about man's way, or the conventional way to think about wealth, and about an eternal perspective on wealth. And Jesus says your life does not consist of an abundance of possessions. God is always interested in the eternal perspective and being eternally rich. That's really what it's about.
Yeah. And, it's something I think that we all struggle with at different times. I mean, the abundance of possessions. Just think about that in your own life. We all have an abundance of possessions.
As Americans, that's true.
And take, for example, in my life, like I love guitars.
Yes, you do.
And for a long time, I had an Epiphone guitar. Well, I wanted a Gibson guitar.
Epiphones are nice guitars.
Epiphones are nice.
Yeah.
But Gibsons.
Huh?
Gibsons. It's a totally different
Okay.
category.
All right.
Even though they're made by the same company. But I had my eyes set on a Gibson, and I saved for it. And now, thankfully, guitars are an investment. So it may not be the worst spent money. But, even in thinking about this picture, I mean, yeah, if I'm honest, there are so many things that could become bigger barns in our lives. Like, is a Gibson guitar a bigger barn? In my life, I hope not.
Right.
But we have to face those things. They can be small things that sort of creep up on us.
That's right.
Our possessions have a way of possessing us, like you said.
That's true.
And yet we want to be people that are seeking God's kingdom, seeking after his kingdom first.
Yeah, that's right. And that's really what makes you truly rich, is seeking out God's kingdom. That reminds me about, as I think about people who are eternally rich, after the things of the Lord's heart, I can't help but think about my parents and the investment that they've made in my life. We did not come from much money at all. My dad was a pastor pretty much my whole life, and we lived pretty meagerly. But my parents invested in people's lives. They made investments with their time, their talents, and their treasures in the lives of people, in the church, giving back to the church that they shepherded. Wow. And supporting missionaries and so forth. I remember particularly a time when I was about 14, 15 years old. I was raiding my dad's sock drawer because I was out of socks, as one often is in your teenage years. And I found investment envelopes, or rather giving envelopes, in his sock drawer. And one of them already had a check in. And so out of my curiosity, I picked it up and I was like, wow, look at the amount that my dad is giving back to the church. And it was a lot, especially considering his income. I happen to know what he made because of another sort of sneaky thing that I did to find that out.
Really? You did something sneaky?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. And it was a high percentage of his income, and I was just really shocked, blown away. And that's baked into my memory, because now looking back, it was like a little seed that has grown into a tree of how I think about money and being a money manager now, and how much of that legacy was passed down to me. Seeing my parents' faithfulness to invest in eternal things and God always providing for them has made an investment in my life. I've taken that on, and honestly, I don't know if I would be a pastor today and would have left a pretty lucrative job in investment advising for pastoral work if not for that investment that my parents made, that example that my parents have made in my life.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And we want to invite you to just get really practical tonight and think through what could possibly be these bigger barns in your life. And take some time in your group talking about what are different ways that you could prioritize kingdom ideas over material possessions, and think creatively, think wisely about that, discuss it openly. You're asking us, and you asked us on Sunday, what will you sacrifice to be part of On the Move? And this is something that, if you've been at our church for a while, if you're part of our community, we hope that you're asking that question at whatever level it is for you.
Yeah, that's right.
And we want you to follow the Lord in that. We don't want to project what we think that should be in any way.
Yeah.
But we're also thinking about it as leadership. Yeah. We're thinking about it in our own lives. So
absolutely,
how has that landed for you guys and your family?
I mean, we've been thinking about this for a while now and praying through it as a family, and just asking the Lord for, like, what's the number? What's the number that he wants us to give sacrificially? And we've been asking you as a church to commit to making a commitment. And so we've been committing to making a commitment for a little bit longer than you've gotten the opportunity to do so. But I would just say, like, for us, we decided the Lord to be on the move here in the church is going to mean sacrifice for us. And part of the way I'm thinking about sacrifice is quite honestly is thinking about money that I'm storing away, treasure that I'm storing away for maybe a rainy day or for retirement or something in the future, and for a season, this 36-month period, pulling back some of the money that I'm putting toward retirement, and that kind of investment to then give to this eternal investment in this spiritual investment in the church. So that's part of the way that we're going to make this happen in our lives. We're also going to cut back on some other things that maybe aren't as needed in our life. We found some other practical ways that we can save some money and give that away as well. So that's how that's going to land in our lives. And I'm telling you this not in any way so that you say, oh, look at me, look what I'm willing to do. I want to lead by example, and I never want to ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So that's how we're doing that, and that's really the question I want you to be thinking about as well, is what does it look like for you guys? As Terry said, what are your bigger barns? But what does it look like for you to make a sacrificial investment in the future, this kingdom that God has given us here locally to reach people for Christ?
Yeah. As I think about it, this should make for some interesting conversation. We know
definitely.
It's not easy to talk about.
That's right.
And we're not even asking you to give details necessarily within your small group especially. But as you talk about it within your friends and your family and your loved ones, those that are close to you, this can help. If we talk about this, this can really help us navigate it. There's so many things we talk about, like, that you're not supposed to talk about in church. And here we are in this season really opening it up.
Jesus talks about it. It's one of the things he talks about more than anything. So we can't be afraid to talk about it either. We want to help you in that commitment. As we've been talking about, you've committed to making a commitment, hopefully at this point. And so this is something you've been thinking about. We're going to be giving, you actually already have these commitment cards. Next Sunday when you come in, we're going to be making a commitment together as a church, and we'll be filling these out. On the back of this card, we'll have options for you of how you want to think about giving. So maybe this is something that you can, as a group, be thinking about, praying about, and then this coming Sunday, get ready to see what is it that the Lord's putting on your heart to give to the On the Move campaign.
Yeah. Amen. And as you go into your group time, we just want to remind you again, some of the earlier reminders. Be open, be prayerful, be Spirit-led in all of this. But let's not be afraid. I love how you put out this challenge for us.
Yeah.
So we will see you next week as we wrap this up.